buyers. Today I wanted to talk to you about the cost involved in purchasing a home. And you may be thinking, I just saved up money for a down payment, I'm good to go, right? And first of all, congratulations, that's an awesome feat and point to get to. And then second of all, there are additional costs just besides the down payment that are going to come up during the time that you're under contract. And I really want you to be aware of what these costs are so you're not finding yourself at a place where you can't actually move forward and purchase the home. So the first thing that you're probably going to be paying for is once you go under contract, you're going to have to put down earnest money. And the earnest money is usually about 1 to 3% of the purchase price. Now this will go in towards, be added towards the cost of your down payment at closing. So don't worry about that, but just be aware as soon as you go under contract, you're probably going to have to fork over a few $1,000s. Next is the inspection. Once you go under contract, you're probably going to want to pay for an inspection. Potentially even if you're buying a new build, you may want to pay for an inspection. And depending on the extent of what you want inspected, you may be spending around $300 to $400, possibly even to well over $1,000. But typically that is money very, very well spent because you want to know what you're getting yourself into so that you don't have the situation of you close on a home and then a month or two in you realize there are tens of thousands of dollars worth of issues on the home that need to be repaired. And then one of the other costs that you may come across while you're under contract is the cost of a survey. Now, if you're buying a very typical home within a city, a survey is probably not going to come up, and especially if you're buying a house that is a condo and a townhome, probably a survey is not going to come up. But if you're buying a more unique home, especially something in the mountains, it may be that either the title company and or your lender is going to require a survey. And it depends on the extent of the survey and what needs to be done, but you could be spending up to around $1,000 on a survey. So just be aware of that potential cost. And then next are the fees that come up if you are working with a lender. So the first is that down payment itself. Maybe you're putting down 20% on your home, a little bit more, a little bit less, but there's that first initial down payment cost. Next things that might come up is your lender may have an application fee, and that could be maybe around $500. It just depends on the lender, and not all lenders have this fee, and oftentimes, so do check with your lender, this fee may get added towards your closing cost once you're at the closing table, so that cost could get recouped. But just be aware that this might be an upfront cost for you as a buyer. Next is the appraisal, and most likely you're going to be paying for this appraisal even if you don't close on the home and probably before you get to closing. Your lender most of the time is going to require that the home gets appraised so that they can be sure they're not overpaying on this house. And the cost of that appraisal is usually around $1,000. Next, a fee that might come up is a lock-in fee. It's not uncommon that if you are going to be under contract for more than 30 days and you want to lock in a particular interest rate, your lender very well may be charging you to extend that time period for more than 30 days. They might go up to 45 days, 90 days. But anyways, there's usually a cost associated with that, and maybe it's a few $100s, but it really could easily be more than $1,000. So be sure if you're going to be locking in a rate for more than 30 days, talk to your lender upfront right away to figure out what that cost might be. Next, depending upon your interest rate, you might be paying a discount fee or some points. And that's usually if you want to get a better interest rate, you might spend some money with your lender to buy down the cost of that interest rate. And perhaps if you're only going to own the home for a few years, it might not be worth it. But if you're going to get in the home for a while, that really might be worth it. So if you're thinking about going that route, talk to your lender, ask them what that recuperation time period might be, because maybe it'll be in 2 years you'll pay off that difference, or maybe it's more like 5 years. But just have that conversation with your lender, because in the end it could be advantageous for you to pay down the interest rate on your loan. And then next is the cost of the lender to close on the home itself. And this is the work that they're putting in to service your loan and make sure that it happens. And you should probably keep in mind that this cost could be up to $2,000. And this is where it becomes important to shop around for a lender, because even though people may have the same interest rate, the cost of servicing that loan could vary from lender to lender. but generally keep in mind to expect to pay around $2,000. And then finally, on the day of closing itself, when it comes to the lender's cost, your lender may be withholding money, charging you just because they want to withhold several months worth of money for your homeowner's insurance and potentially your property taxes. So again, you could see maybe another $1,000 in cost depending on how your lender is going to withhold that money to later on pay off your homeowner's insurance and pay your property taxes. And then next up are the additional fees that you're going to see on the day of closing, and these fees are coming from the title company. So in order for the title company to just handle all the paperwork, in general it's around $400, and in this area it's really common that that's split between the buyer and the seller. So usually buyers around here are expecting to pay around $200 for the title company to take care of these documents. And then next up, the title company is also going to charge you to be working with your lender to be sure that this loan is going through and that they're talking back and forth and everything is in line and happening as it should. So usually the title company is going to be charging the buyer around $400 to be working with your lender. And then finally, the last fee that you may see as a buyer is the title company. They're going to have to record a lot of documents and be working with the county to be sure, one, the seller's information is going off record and now your information is coming on. There are a few taxes involved as well. Usually as a buyer, you can expect to spend, in this area anyways, around $200 for that. So these are all of the additional costs that you are going to see as a buyer when it comes to purchasing a home. And it's not fun news, but hopefully it's informative and it helps you feel like you really are seeing things clearly as you're about to move forward and purchase a home. And best of luck in buying a home.